Good evening, witches, warlocks, sorcerers, adepts, friends, fans, family, and followers to Season 1, Episode 9 of Cuniculum Obscuritatis, the Obscure Tunnels or Tunnels of Obscurity, brought to you by the Coterie of Samil, Arcane, Occult Order, and Celestial Oddities Radio. As always, I'm your host, Frater Crow.
And I'm your co-host, Natasha Michelle. Please make sure that you like all the buttons, share, follow, be able to watch all of our old episodes and be in touch with everything that is coming. Liking, clicking, and doing all the following and sharing moves us up the podcast rankings and helps us reach everybody that may be interested in our content.
And if you are interested in this show tonight or any of our other shows, feel free to leave a comment from wherever you're tuning in from. It'll pop up or should pop up on our dashboard. We will throw it up on screen. We'll read it off. We'll interact with you. This show isn't just for us. It is very much for each and every one of you. We love it when you interact with the show. So please feel free to do so. We have been having technical difficulties the last 2 months or last month or so on some of the comments coming through. We never had an issue prior to that. And then all of a sudden, certain channels' comments come through, certain channels don't. And we don't know why. We have explored the inner processes of the programs, of Facebook, of everything, and we cannot figure out how to get the comments to come back like they once did. So if you are leaving comments and they're not coming through for some reason, we're not throwing them on screen, we're not reading them off, you might have to jump to one of our other platforms. And just so you guys are aware, this show will go live on Frater Crow Facebook page, the Knights of the Nephilim Facebook page, Celestial Oddities Radio Facebook page, the Coterie of Samil Facebook page, and Knights of the Nephilim YouTube page. Now, Facebook did a new thing, which I think is pretty fucking bunk, and you guys probably will think so as well. After 30 days, our videos are automatically deleted. And where that is a shame is most of our interactions on our Facebook page. So we can have a video with 800 views on it and 200 comments on it, and 30 days from now, it's gone. And the only thing that remains is the YouTube video, which has like 13 views on it and 1 comment. So it makes it appear that no one watches the show, no one interacts with it, and it doesn't get us the feedback loop that we need to reach more people on YouTube because we don't have a lot of people watch it on there. And the Facebook, where it normally would help reach more people, after 30 days, it's deleted and it doesn't exist anymore. It is a system built to fuck us, and we are trying to work around it. So help us out in any way you can. We certainly appreciate it. If you missed our last episodes, go back and check them out. We have a lot of great topics, the 4 holistic principles of magic, the importance of a daily practice. We talk about the difference between intuition and instincts, mediumship and clairvoyance, and so forth. We have episodes on grounding and protection. And our latest episode was one where we talked about the processing and dealing with loss when loved ones pass, how we handle that so that we don't store it away and it causes a backup or a trauma within us, how we process that. And we gave a shout out to a lot of people's loved ones that have passed away. They were dropping comments. We were throwing them up and honoring the dead. And it was a beautiful episode, very well received. If you missed that, go back and check it out. A couple quick announcements and we'll get tonight's show started. I think July, maybe August, I still got to do some tweaks. The new season of Knights of the Nephilim will be coming out. That is a fan favorite, interviewing and talking with the biggest name occultists in the world, deep diving into their brains and practices. We had 4 seasons. We're coming back with season number 5. So I know a lot of people are very excited for that, as well as season number 5 of Paranormal Guys podcast, where we talk about supernatural and metaphysical phenomena. We talk about different specific topics. We have call-in episodes where people tell us their stories of the amazing and unexplained, and we do interviews with guests as well. Both of those shows are coming back, along with more episodes here of Cuniculum Obscuritatis, more episodes of Last Caw. I've been teeter-tottering the idea that I probably won't do of Uncovering the Underground again, but I probably won't do that because dealing with musical artists is a kick in the nuts and they're all assholes. So Let's go ahead and get tonight's show started. I will read the prayer that we start off with every single show. Natasha will go over our 9 laws, and then we will talk about our topic for the evening. In the name of Samael, Cain, and Lilith, we call out to you, O Lord Natasha, our Savior and Father. Let us continue to be unbendable, unbreakable pillars of the eternal infernal black flame, soldiers and emissaries of the black light of divinity. You who is the true God existing in the void place of chaos, before the creation of the cosmos, which gave form to force, bringing only suffering and death, blanketed with the illusion of what the Claiborne call living, encased in fragile flesh. Falling victims to their own debased hungers, the cattle stand in their own prisons singing songs of freedom. The blind bastard sons and daughters bow to their blind bastard God. Let us never be mistaken for their ilk. Let us serve you diligently and with honor. Let our knees not falter, and allow our minds to remain sharp and clear for the battles and wars we shall wage in your name. Life after life, we march to your drum until we have won and all is returned back to silence. We are the beacons of hope, the lighthouses of knowledge. No matter the darkness, our wisdom will shine, for we are the messengers and we are the crows. Our cause will be heard till the ending of time. We are the sons and daughters of darkness, and the Kashalaka is with us. We shall never fear.
The following is the mission statement for the Coterie of Samil. Number 1, to honor, praise, and uphold the work of our other god, the Nakashalaka. Number 2, to honor, praise, and know the Qliphothic Elohim, working alongside them to gain gnosis and shape the currents of our own lives. Number 3, the intense and continuous study and practice of diabolism, necromancy, and left-hand path mysticism. Number 4, work completed both in and out of the temple, individually and as a cult, towards a return to Ein and spiritual immortality and nothingness. Number 5, to reside in a physical manifestation, that while it may be incarnated in a prison, it is a prison crafted to our standards and desires. Number 6, to uphold the authority and integrity of one's own moral code while remaining a wolf in a world filled with sheep. Number 7, to openly shine and fan our own black flames, giving the opportunity and inspiration for those so inclined to recognize and feed their own. Number 8, to burn as torches in the darkness so that those worthy may be guided by them, finding their inner strength and embodying what it means to rise to their own power. And number 9, not to obtain or draw in followers, but to encourage mysticism, free thought, dedication, breaking of chains, and questioning everything, including us.
Absolutely. And I would like to give a shout out to Trevor, Stacy Tyndall, Cindy, and Stacy Dunkel, and Max Webster. They have all said hello. I want to give a special shout out to Bob Long, who is one of the unfortunate individuals to be leaving me a comment on Facebook that isn't fucking coming through for God knows what reason, because all these are. But for some reason, like I said, just random people aren't able to get their comment in. I don't know why. It drives me crazy. I spent far too much time fucking around with this thing and still coming back with no results. So Diane says hello as well. So hello to all you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Stick around for a great episode. Tonight we're going to be talking about the often misunderstood, often disregarded, neglected, and unused aspect of astral and ethereal temples. Now, there are some people that would hear this subject tonight and naysay it, make fun of it, laugh at it, call it a bunch of Dungeons and Dragons, hocus pocusy bullshit, even within the magical occult realms. I am here to tell you that it is a very important piece of your magical practice, and it is unfortunate that so many people disregard it. I want you to take a moment to think about the fact of whether you are a neophyte or dabbler, or you are a seasoned practitioner and adept. You had a passion when you started the occult and esoteric studies. When you started ritual, you had this passion, or have this passion now, where you wanted to get an altar. You wanted to get an altar cloth. You wanted to get a chalice and an athame. You wanted to get candles. You wanted to get pentacles. You wanted to get offering bowls. You might have wanted to get a statue of your favorite deity. All of these amazing things that you want and should have and will aid in your practice. I'm sure all of you are bobbleheads right now. Yep. So that's great. Why should we treat our astral temple any differently? You are setting up a home base in the physical manifestation and physical realm here. As we talked about on episode 2 of our show, go back and listen to it if you haven't. We talk about the levels of physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. These 4 will commonly play in every single thing that you do. And there will be a bridge that connects each and every one of them, and they will move fluidly in everything that you do. So we set up a physical temple, and that physical temple can be something that you have an emotional balance within and connected to. You can have your intellect be a part of that and grow from it, and spirit can certainly come down in that temple. What we need to understand is all 4 planes, each one of them can have the other 3 incorporated into it. But we oftentimes only focus on bringing the other 3 together in this one. What an astral temple is a bunker of safety and secrecy. It is a vehicle for communication and transportation. And we'll go through each one of those 4 things there and explain what we mean by it. You are creating a space that when you go into meditation, when you go into transhypnagogic states, when you are doing conjuration or going into envision after you've called a spirit down to your temple or out of you, you are going to a place that is your central hub. It is your train station. Now, I don't like to use that term so much, but what I mean is train station because it can take you many different places, but not train station in a way that it should be open for anyone and everything to come through and all of that residual energy, because train stations, airports, they're fucking gross, right? There's a ton of people, you bump into people, so try to stay away from that. You have to go into it with the mentality that you are setting up and creating, but I want to express this in a moment, creating a space, a defined area of operation that'll be your safe haven. It is your protection. It is your place to go for serenity in the astral and ethereal realms. It is also your place of secrecy, because while you can hide and tuck yourself away in your temple, while you can do that in this world, even when you're in this world, you're subject to someone walking into your room and bugging you or something happening outside of your house, right? If you can do meditation deeply enough, you can transport yourself to that astral or ethereal temple, and no one can interrupt you that you don't allow to interrupt you. So it is your place of secrecy. It is your place of security. It is your vehicle of transportation, because after you get adept in this art of using it, you can use it to transport yourself or use it as a launching pad to transport yourself to a multifaceted system of dimensions and planes. Or you can use it as a way of what do I want to say here? I said transportation and communication, as a way of communication to bring beings to your astral and communicate with them on your terms, on your ground. Mm-hmm. So that's setting up the base of what an astral and ethereal temple is. I use both names because it's kind of a toss-up of what exactly it is. It's a construct created through you and empowered through meditation and daily discipline and practice that becomes very real. Very, very real. I can't express that, and we'll go into that. But is it on the astral plane? Is it on the ethereal plane? I would say it's a little bit of both.
I was going to say, I think people go back and forth.
I think
saying that it's both.
And I mean, because astral and ethereal planes are similar in ways and they're different in ways, and everybody's gonna have their own little definition. And that's the thing, is what is your lore, right? Because a lot of times people say ethereal means it's coming out of you. Ethereal is when you're going inwards. That's the ethereal plane. Astrals when you just fucking go with what resonates with you. Excuse me. So here's the we got a structure of what it is right now, and that's great. But I want to dissuade you from following what pretty much everyone else is going to tell you on this next subject. There's YouTube videos out there, there's posts out there, and they say, just sit, create something with your imagination, and just that's your astral temple. You start to embed, your belief into it. Well, that is partially right. I actually tell you no. I would tell you, continue to meditate, have a daily meditation practice, a daily discipline, as episode 3 discusses. We're always going to go back to these episodes because every fucking piece of this is the puzzle piece. So the daily discipline, every day working out, every day stretching, every day doing breathing techniques, every day meditating, every day having some sort of ritual, whether, minute or large, having ritual and things that you do every day to stay consistent, to stay sharp. Part of that's going to be your meditation practice. And in that meditation practice, I want you to close your eyes and dissolve the world, get past the monkey mind, get to the point where you are part of all creation, right? Then I want you to plant that quick seed. I don't want you to focus too hard on, I need to create an astral temple. Just be open to the idea of astral temples, right? And then don't paint the walls with what you want to create. Here's the difference with what I'm saying from others. Let it come to you. So many people I know have talked about the subject and they're like, sit in meditation, get to that point that I just told you, but then start creating. If you like caves, make it a cave. If you like sanctuaries, make it a castle. If you like a clouded pillar in the sky, no, that's fine, but let it come to you. Be open and receptive of what's going to happen with your higher mind, because in those stages of meditation where you clear the world away and you are open to what comes to you, your higher consciousness will flash images of something in your mind. And it might be a castle. It might be next to a river. Who knows? Everybody's going to be individual. But then you say, wait a second, I just had this flash of this beautiful temple in this clouded area, whatever it might be. Okay. Now, get that image in your mind, keep it there, but then be open to what's next. Then you get flashes of a room. Okay, well, there's a room. And eventually you're going to start getting the pieces of that astral temple that is your astral temple. And as you solidify enough of that, then you can start adding in your own implements. And what this does, folks, is by each and every day visiting that astral temple, investing your intellect, your emotions, your mind, your physical vessel sitting in your temple meditating, and your fucking spirit pouring it into that, you start to create something that is embedded into the fabric of the ethereal and astral planes. It doesn't just become a thought form. It becomes more than that. Just as an egregore is a thought structure that you bring to life and feed and make offerings to, and eventually it becomes a deity of sorts that can interact and actually move objects and fuck people up. The same thing with your astral temple. You are creating a space and embedding so much energy and thought into it that it becomes real. The beauty of it is most people don't know about it, won't see it, and you shouldn't be telling people about it. Don't go around and tell your friends and your folks what it looks like, where it is, all the minute details of it, because if someone ever turns on you, they can use that information against you. Now, like I said, there's people out there laughing right now, I'm sure, like, this is some fucking hocus pocus Dungeons and Dragons shit. That's fine, because they're obviously not doing this practice. And anybody not doing a practice can't speak on the practice that they're not doing. There's people that'll laugh about clepothic magic. I know practitioners that are amazing goetic practitioners that make fun of clepothic path workings and say that the whole clepothic thing's a fucking joke and it's bogus. These are people that will never experience some of the most mind-bending and insane interactions with spirits that they could ever have, because they're shut off to that practice. Each practice has its own doors, and each door has its own fruits. It's just whether or not you want those fruits. So with building those astral temples, you invest into it. But I truly ask you guys not to just make up something. Don't just sit down and say, I want it to be X, Y, and Z. Go ahead.
I think it was not until you started talking about it in that way that I realized the way that I created my own, because I would have come on tonight and been like, okay, just like you said, like, here are your steps. Go into like a trance state, use your binaural beats, your HZ frequencies, your drumming, whatever it takes to get you really like zoned out. And then, like an architect, start crafting and building like what it is that you want it to look like. And a lot of people will even tell you to have like write your blueprint up beforehand, like have it ready beforehand, and then go into the trance state and then start creating and crafting it, you know, in your imagination and in that ethereal space. And I was sitting here while you were talking, thinking about the way that I created my own, and I realized that that is exactly how I did it, even without meaning to, because I was thinking like I built it or whatever, but I didn't go into it with an idea or a concept of what it should be, aside from like one part of it. However, all of the other things, it is exactly like Crow just described, guys, came in as visions, different visions, and it was piece by piece by piece, like the what do you call it? The outside, the landscape was built, and the actual building was built, and like all the things just came in. And I was like, I would love to be able to explain, you know, exactly what it looks like or whatever, because I was pretty like unpleased with mine. But like he said, that's not information that you want to give away. That's not stuff that you want to share with people.
Well, I think it
Just
needs to
because
be like your physical temple as well. Like, folks, it's okay to take pride in your occultism, your spirituality. Don't make the mistake of thinking you need to share it or should share it with the world. Like, you might have a beautiful temple. Doesn't mean that every one of your friends should see it. And what I want to say with that is, no one's seen my temple. There's only a few people that have seen my temple. It is very rare I let an individual into my temple. No one steps foot in there. It is off fucking limits to the world. It's me and my spirits. And I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of people I associate with. Sure, it would be great to show them and say, look at this mind-blowing thing that I've created. But I don't. You also don't see me showing off a lot of pictures of my temple. There's a lot of people that show footage and pictures all the time all over the internet of their workings in their temple. That's a stupid fucking thing to do. It's okay every once in a while in its own context, but it's not something you just throw out all over the place. There's something to be said about mystery. You know what I mean? It should be a mystery. Yeah. Now, I do want to answer a quick comment, and real quick, I want to thank a few people that are jumping in that are not coming through. I once again have no idea why. Bob Long says it's okay. I appreciate you guys, and he was answering me saying that we're not seeing his comments. We appreciate you too, Bob. You guys are ever looking for great pottery work or other great artwork and things, Bob does some awesome stuff with work in the art field and with pottery. He also has a band that they are up and coming right now. I'm not sure what genre you say, probably like a bluegrass style, but they're pretty dope. So make sure you guys check him out. EJ said, I'm excited for this topic. And Kelvin said, good evening and Wicked World Goth Day. Well, I didn't know that, but happy Wicked World Goth Day. Now, I
did know that because I saw it, Kelvin, on your post.
Yeah, she knew all about it. So Trevor says, is it possible to have a communal astral temple, or is it ever only an individual matter? That is a very good question. Usually, most of the time, it would be a personal thing. But if it is with people you trust, if it is with your cult, if it is with your coven, if it is with your coterie, if it is with whatever you call your group, then you can build a sanctuary for all of you, that you work in tandem with one another to create that and build a place that when you are working with, you always go to the same place as a group. And why this is important is when you are working in person together, absolutely start the ritual. Everybody grounds. You should always be grounding at the beginning of a ritual, right? We're all sitting, we're closing our eyes. We cleared out the energy of the temple. We're all breathing in and getting in tune and vibratory states with one another. We should all travel to the same landscape. So now we are working on the physical plane with one another side by side, and on the astral and ethereal plane side by side. That is powerful, and it creates a stronger ritual. Where this is also important is sometimes you can't be with the rest of your coven at the same time. Like maybe you plan that everybody at Saturday night at 10 o'clock in the evening are all going to go into your individual temples, all ground, and all meet each other in that sanctuary. Not imaginatively saying, oh, I know that my members are here with me. You wait to truly feel it. You might go through and not see them or feel them. But in time, as you become more accustomed to each other's energy, as you become more fluid and strong in your workings as a grouping, you will start to be able to actually see and interact with each other on these planes of existence. And that's when some real powerful magic happens, guys. That's when you're able to connect 100 miles away from one another, meet each other in a ritual plane of existence, where then you are bringing this to happen. And this brings me to a point that I wanted to talk about, that you need to be so incorporated into this existence that it is overlaid with your existence. What I mean by that is when I walk into my ritual temple, it's a sacred act. Whether I'm going in to just do my daily prayers, whether I'm going in to clean my temple, prepare for the next ritual, or I'm in full-fledged invocation mode, all of it is a sacred act. I take my shoes off before I walk into my temple. No shoes are allowed in my temple. It's a sacred space. That's why no one else is allowed into my temple. It is a sacred space. You have to have prerequisites of this is the things that have to happen when I'm in my sacred space. Now, the reason I'm saying this is the second I walk into my temple, embedded in my mind, I'm walking into my temple. And when I'm saying that, I'm saying my ethereal or astral temple. As I get down into lotus position and meditate, I am getting down into lotus position and meditating. It becomes fluid. That yes, you might think I'm only imagining it. No, you've embedded it so much and incorporated it into yourself that every movement you make is being done here and on every other plane of existence at the exact same time. Whenever I'm doing the banishing, I am banishing here and I'm banishing in the astral world. Because here's the thing, guys, you might banish your physical temple. But if you only have authority, if you want to call it that, here in the physical plane and have no authority in any spiritual plane whatsoever, what the fuck good is your banishing actually doing? But if you are fluid amongst multiple planes and vibratory states of existence and you banish it once, you're banishing out and creating a safe bubble, a sphere of sensation here and in your astral, a safe vehicle of operation here and in the astral, so that you are in tandem, as I said, with one another at all times. And why this is so fucking important is when you are calling a spirit down and you are sensing the atmospheric shift and change in the room, while you are sensing that there is a presence, and maybe your mediumistic abilities have been tuned enough that you can physically see, smell, feel, hear these spirits. And if so, that's great. And an astral temple still will add to that. But maybe you're already there and that's wonderful, but most people aren't, right? So here's where the astral temple is important. You've called them down, you sense them, you feel them, you know that your operation has worked. Close your eyes and go to envision. Let the receptive faculties receive the input data that they're giving you, but don't just do it sitting there in the blankness like, okay, I'm waiting. No, go to your astral temple, and what you will find happen is if you were open on the physical, open on the astral and ethereal, in your mind, when you're seeing yourself in your astral temple, all of a sudden you now have a visitor in your astral temple. So you're looking at this cobblestone room, you're looking at these dungeony windows, you're looking, I'm just making up something at the moment, you're looking at this landscape that is yours, that you've seen 200-300 times now, that you have been a part of, that you've traveled, that you know every nook and cranny, that you have full reign and authority over. Now you've invited something in, the thing that you called. And now all of a sudden, instead of just feeling the atmospheric shift on the physical plane, now you are sensing something's there, and you turn and there is a being standing there and you're like, holy shit, it's there. I see it. It's right in front of me as another human being. Guess what? You have just advanced your practice in the communication of spiritual, connectivity. And that needs to be understood. And as I said, as you are drawing the sigil on the physical, see yourself drawing one on the astral. As you are I mean, for the diabolists out there, as you are cutting yourself or pricking it and you are giving a blood offering into the chalice of liquor, or however you choose to do it on the sigil, whatever your method is, you are doing it on the astral. Your steps are one and the same on both. And that is the first step of advanced connection and communication. The thing that our cult always says, and something I've been using for years, is I wish to build a bridge of alliance with you to connect, convene, converse, and commune. The 4 C's: connect, convene, converse, commune. Because you are wishing to talk, to connect, to break bread with one another. I am making an offering of this meal to you, this liquor with you. And in return, I am going to break bread and eat my share of it. I am going to have a drink with you. I am here as your friend. Let's sit and dine together. Let's break bread as brothers and sit. And that's what you're doing on the astral as well. And like I said, for those who haven't sharpened their faculties on the physical, and even if you have, you will find mind-bending shit happen in your own astral temple that you have created. People get caught up because of modern programming with imagination. We have been told imagination just means you're making up something. And in a lot of cases it can. If right now all of a sudden I come up with the most random shit, that's a 3-toed leprechaun dancing on top of a zebra. I just made it up off the top of my head. That's imagination, right? And I can picture it in my mind. That's just imagination, folks. That's not an astral temple. That's not an astral state. But if I every day thought about it, named it, gave it shape, and put thought into it, it could start to become something more than that. But what I'm trying to tell you is your imagination, just in evocation of spirits, has to be open. Your imagination is very much a part of your will. You're using your will and your discipline and your integrity to push it into an operation to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
You can't shut your imagination off or nothing will happen. You don't want to just pour out and make shit up. You want to unlock the door to your imagination and open it. Don't fuck with it. Just open it, leave it unlocked. As you call this spirit forward and you actually get that current, I've always said it's like a combustible liquid, like gasoline. You have gasoline poured all around you now, and you are creating the spark. And that imagination being open and your will being the spark, it hits that. Your imagination is the gas. Your will is the spark. The spirit comes in and adds to that, and boom. Now your imagination has created the being to look and sound the way that it does. But that doesn't mean you're making it up. And that's so hard for a lot of people to understand. It's using your physical understandings and mental capabilities to paint itself for you within a way that you can understand it.
Right.
So you do that on both planes. And you can sometimes have trippy shit where you're seeing something in the physical here on this plane, and you're going into meditation, you're seeing it there, and then you start to have this weird dimensional shift where it's happening on multiple planes at one time. That happens. So, that's something that you need to understand as well. And the last thing, and I'll let Natasha jump in and say anything she'd like because I've been long-winded, but it's very important for you guys to understand these things. You don't have to only have one astral temple, guys. That's very important to understand. In fact, I promote the idea of having multiple. Now, I don't mean multiple like having like 15, because that's just stupid. You don't have the time or energy for that, and you're actually going to take away from your process. Before I finish that statement, let's go to a quick break and recognize Dead Guy Ale, the beer of the night. Now, back to our programming.
One of these days, somebody's gonna sponsor.
Someone's
us.
gonna pick me up and sponsor us. I just want a beer sponsor. So if you guys know any beer companies out there and you got a name on it, please let me know. As long as it's good tasting.
I got wine. We're drunken Flamingo tonight. So Star Hill Winery.
I love it. So each have its own temple. So let me give you an example. When I first started out, and I was doing and dabbling around in some Golden Dawnish, angelic Enochian style magic, working with angels, which I haven't done in quite some time, or true angels, like in the sense of like Raphael, Gabriel, Zachiel, Zamiel, those type of names. I was working with spirits like that, right? I created an astral temple that is very, very different than any other one that I have right now. Every one's so incredibly unique, and that's why I suggest not to create it, because you might find yourself creating like 4 of them that look very similar. No, if you let them come to you, your higher consciousness will give you truly planes of existence, and you'll make them yours. And my one that I worked with on the Golden Dawn Enochian system of magic was so incredibly different than the others. It was fucking gorgeous. It still is. I don't visit it too often anymore, but it's still out there. And I would go to it quite often in these style of workings. But that is very much different than the one I use when I'm doing any type of diabolism. Night and day difference. Not even in the same worlds, really. When I do my Hecatian sorcery, I have a very different astral temple than either of those two. So to give you an example, and then I'll turn this over, I work diabolism. There's one. When I did the Enochian angel stuff, there was 2. I have the Hecatian sorcery. There was 3. I have one that's kind of a hybrid where it is diabolism, but it's more of the Klipothic side of it. So it's similar to the other one, but it is different. That is 4. I hold 4 different astral ethereal temples that I work within. When you work them fluidly, then you can start to add things to them. Not only do you have a strong foundation, strong walls, strong roof, or whatever it might be. Maybe you're in an open field. Everybody's is going to be different, like I said. But you should have a protective barrier. So if you're in a field, you need to strengthen up on your wards and your protection around it. If you're inside of like a castle, you can just know that those walls are strong and keep them strong. But just like your house needs maintenance and you need to clean it and keep up with it, or it will start to get shitty or gross. You got to do works. And that's why I sound so nerdy, guys. You got to sit in a meditation, think about yourself cleaning that fucking astral temple, patching the walls, doing what's needed to fortify. But you should have guardians. My Hecatian one, for example, I do workings for the guardians of those directions. And there's not just 4 guardians. There is, depending on how you want to look at it, there's 12, or you could say 16 guardians total on this landscape. That's a lot to keep up with, but if you can keep a solid foundation and connection with their image, who they are, what they look like, they become, as we've talked about, egregoric wards and constructs within the astral and ethereal planes of your temple. And if you work with them, you honor them, and you even make offerings from time to time, I guarantee you will have a solid fucking place that you can feel protected in when you go to. You can feel safe, secure, and your secrets will stay there. Now, I do hear a lot of nerdy people being like, if you can't do rituals in the physical real world, just go to your astral temple and do them there. Yeah, but no, it shouldn't be like some nerd escape where you go and do rituals, because I don't care how fucking great you are. If you just sit and do meditation and imagine yourself doing ritual, it doesn't work. It needs to be that bridged link between physically doing it, ethereally doing it, and doing them at the same time. It creates this symbiotic relationship and this explosion. So, make sure you're doing it that way. But if you keep the wards on there, you will be protected. And that's why when you call another being in, you are giving access to that being to come on your terms, on your landscape, with your guardians present, so that something doesn't fuck with you. Doesn't mean they won't. It still can happen. It probably still will eventually. But you can have it as guarded as you possibly can, and then you can ask it to leave. You can do your banishings, right? The last part, and I know I said that before, but there's one other thing I wanted to mention, and I will be done. When you're doing certain type of workings, you can have a special doorway. And this is something you never heard anybody else talk about, because I'm the only one that does. Within your astral temple, create a door. That door is the door to the unknown. That door stays shut almost always, except when you're working workings where you want to jump to other planes of existence. You have that world where you go to, where your ethereal astral temple is. You feel safe there. You call beings in. You have your guardians. You've done it so many times, it's second nature. Fuck yeah, that's what you should be doing. But there's that door. Almost always closed, but sometimes not. You choose when it opens. And that is whenever you have built up, and this is not for beginners or neophytes. This is when you've been doing workings for a while, where you've called down, let's say, a specific being again and again and again. Now you're not only calling it down to your physical place, you're calling it down to your astral. So you've made relationship and connectivity on multiple planes. But now you tell that spirit, I want you to take me to your plane. Show me where you're from. And then you take that sigil that you're holding in your ethereal temple and you go over and place it in the holder that's above that door. There's a little circular plate there. You in that door, which activates that door. And then you open it up and you grab that spirit's hand and you walk through it. Once again, this can sound nerdy, like that's some fucking LARPer shit. I promise you, if done correctly, it's far beyond LARPer shit. This is the beginning, and which will eventually lead to the more advanced astral travel. Because you're in an astral or ethereal temple, right? You're learning how to set up those foundations. You're learning how to connect, and eventually you can take that step to advanced astral travel. And you can go and visit planes of existence that are just as real as the one you're sitting at right now listening to this show. And sometimes they feel actually more real. It's hard to explain, but you'll go to places that actually make this feel like you're in a dream right now. And that's the reality. And sometimes you'll encounter the most horrid, beautiful creatures that you can ever imagine. Sometimes they will be truly beautiful. Sometimes they'll be so terrifying that they're beautiful. And sometimes it'll fuck you up in ways you can't possibly understand. But it'll grow you in ways you can't possibly understand. There's so much more that could be said tonight, guys. I want to turn this over to Natasha to speak her mind and go over anything she would like to say. I'll look to see if we have any missed comments, and then we'll circle back on anything else you guys want to discuss tonight. Thank you so much.
Before I even start with mine, and I agree with just about all of what Crow went over. I think that it's really important, again, to encourage you guys to ask your questions. This is a subject that isn't like talked about huge on like the day-to-day basis and practice. I know it's not something that like I go over with people a ton. I think sometimes when you have like, you know, a public forum like this and people get like cut off from asking questions because they don't want to sound dumb or they think it sounds like, you know, like something that they should know. And I think that one of the huge purposes of this show, which is what we keep saying, is like for you guys, it's to have a place where you can ask those questions. So please, we encourage you to do that. I think that before I say anything else, the concept of multiple astral temples is important and something to keep in mind, because it's not like we said, or like Crow said, you shouldn't like automatically be putting all of this energy into all of these separate places, because it's going to end with nothing being very fulfilled or like solid for you. But there's certain practices, like some of the Hecatian sorcery, where that was one of my more beginning experiences with making those temples and feeling like I was in a different place while still being in my temple. So it was on top of my temple. So as I'm calling each of the, only for the 4 guardians, but as I'm up calling them and circling in my temple, I am circling in the astral temple as well. And seeing those beings there, you know, seeing their movements, seeing what they look like. And something that really helped me with that is that then when I'm not in my temple, when I'm not in my space here, but when I would be at the shop using the shop space to create the temple, to create the circle, to create the safe globe or bubble that we make there, I could take that astral temple, and when I'm calling the guardians there, now even though I'm not in my physical temple, we're moving it over to another space. So that astral temple is almost like a plastic wrap that you can just put over top, if that makes sense. And I think that that's really important. And guardians, speaking on the guardians, like I know one of the very first things that came to me when I was crafting my own was guardians. That was a very big part of it. And so you can use all kinds of different things for beings that watch your temple, that either watch your temple when you're not there, that watch your temple and assist you in magical work that you're doing, some of these can be like created, some of these can be actual, you know, spirit entities that come in over time. But having those created guardians is a super potent part of the protection, I think. I think that it is a really good idea to have layers to these temples. So when you're thinking about them and you're thinking about like the landscape, don't just think about the temple and don't just think about the building or, you know, cave or tunnel or wherever you have yours, but think about like the outside part of it too and what's happening there. You know, what kind of protective sources do you have? Do you have fences? Do you have moats? Do you have, you know, snow leopards running around ready to rip someone's face off, like whatever you come up with, whatever you're given. I think that when we're talking about imagination and stuff, it's really important to keep in mind that when you're doing magic, the physical form of the ritual is really, obviously it's important. What you're doing physically, the hand motions that you're using, the words that you're speaking, all of these things are very important, but the really effective elements to any good working, I will always stand by and say they happen imaginally. They're controlled and active visualization that then brings it to reality. And I'll talk about that in a second. But one of the best examples of that for me is like the energy work. When you're doing energy work, some people are very skilled and they have they're able to see and sense things stronger than other people. But especially when you're starting out doing energy work, trusting yourself and your intuition, but then also giving credit to your imagination is really important. And because it's so easy to just disregard imagination, that can often be a blocker for people. And for me, when I'm doing energy work, it took me a while to get to that point where I would imagine what it was that I was doing. Like if you're doing some sort of, you know, surgery on somebody, if they have like an area that is blocked or an area that they're dealing with pain or whatever, you need to see yourself actually moving it away or repairing an area or sewing something up. Does that make sense? And that comes to the term, which I just like learned today or remembered, I don't know, but fantastic apparatus. You know that term?
Fancy.
I know, isn't it? That's like PhD level here. But what it means is the portion of the soul that translates the images and ideas between sublunary and lunary realms. So basically between the ethereal area and the physical mundane area. You can't come in here. This allows your higher soul, like your higher soul and your material body to communicate. So it allows images to pass and to pass through, to come to you and be transformed into physical things like words or communicating. And on the other end, it allows communication to be transformed into images that then the soul can comprehend on a different level. So it's this like pass through portal area that combines imagination with the physical and then allows your physical being here with your brain and your thinking and all of that to communicate with this higher portion of yourself, which I think honestly reminds me a lot of like sigil work, how when you look at a sigil, you're not consciously recognizing it, but unconsciously you're sending that energy to it when you're looking at it, like in sex magic. So I think that that is a big part of it that people should understand, is that line between the two. Sorry, I'm really distracted because the cat is at my door, like pawing at me, and I won't let it in.
The cat likes astral temples.
I guess he does. She does. But yeah, does that make sense?
No, it does.
Phantasmic apparatus.
It does, and I think like that's why I mentioned so strongly on letting it come to you
Yes.
using your faculties, because I've seen videos and, like I said, discussions before, people talking about astral temples, and they're really like, sit down and create a safe space, imagine whatever you like, paint the walls however you want, make a place, and that's just where you go visit. And I'm like, yes and
It's
no.
not like enough.
It's not enough. I feel like that's the layman's term of what you're doing.
Mhm.
But if you're actually going to do it, I mean, once again, it comes down to, do we call ourselves magicians or do we do magic? There's a lot of people that go around talking about being magicians and occultists and practitioners and ritualists that don't do any fucking magic. And it's like, you can tell anybody shit all day long. I don't care what you tell them, show me. And
Right.
that's what's going to separate you, is, you know what? I don't just say I'm sitting down and painting a beautiful house that I sit in as my astral temple. No, I am able to close my eyes and within a moment's notice transport myself to this real place on these ethereal planes, that I can touch the walls and feel it. I am
Right.
so embedded into it. I feel the grain of the stone when I touch it. I can feel my bare feet walk across the floor. I can feel the robes that I'm wearing in that temple breeze across the floor. I can feel it all.
Right.
And Trevor asked a question. It says, the spirits taking you to other planes, are they spirits you've worked with, or are they just random spirits that pop their heads through the unknown door? That's going to depend on what you're doing, Trevor. You might have guides of spirits that you form very strong relationships with, and that's who's taking you on the travel. You might be going guideless and just opening that door. We're getting into some real like HP Lovecraft shit, where you're opening that door to the outer worlds, right? To the old ones, to the Cthulhu realms, and you don't know what's in there, right? And this is real shit. You get to a point, I do not advise this by any means to someone who's newer to magic, because once again, like I said, even there's so many experienced practitioners who will laugh at this, and I laugh when they laugh because they just don't know that there is this other thing, like the whole Lovecraftian mythos and shit, and the Necronomicon and all this shit. Yeah, people are saying how real it is, but really it's all bogus, man. It's like, no, man, it's just a section of,
Is it?
it's a small, minute group who really not, and there is a group that just fucking role plays, but there is a section where you can break into some really wild things. Now, you can go with a guide, as I was saying, or you can choose the very, very less path chosen and just jump in as an explorer, man. There's nothing wrong with not wanting to be an open explorer and just wanting a guide and working directly with spirits and not wanting to keep going deeper and deeper. The thing about the rabbit hole, folks, is you don't have to keep digging. There's a lot of people just stick their finger in, and that is enough for them for their whole life. Some people stick their leg in. Some people climb down in and just lay right there. But there's some that want to dig and dig, and maybe this level's good, or one of you want to go further, or one of you go further, and then poof, you're gone. No one sees you.
I think that when you start doing that, when you start opening those doors and attempting to follow things through them too, there's a tendency as a sane human being to want someone behind you. Do you know what I mean? To want somebody there as a guardian. And I know I can speak personally for myself. When we started well, honestly, when I started a lot of the work with the demons, the work, and then the telepathic work later on, it was immediate to me to want Hecate present, to be like, I want you to be there as a guardian, to be there as a spirit that I've worked with, that I trust, that is a matron of sorts, like that is there to guard me, to keep your hand on my left shoulder, like it always, like I always feel. And they were good with that for the first like couple times, and then it was like, well, she isn't allowed anymore. Like, if you're gonna do this, you have to do this. And she pretty much was like, be a big girl.
Well, I think
time to be a big girl now.
That's an important statement to make, folks, and I really want you
Yeah.
attention to that, because as Natasha said, the first few times it was okay, you can have that guide with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I've talked about it at length that I think a very important procedure for all of you to do if you really want to break into deeper levels of your magic is, and obviously women, you have to be safe, even men have to be safe, but women, you have to be safe. For example, go to a wooded area that you don't feel any other persons around. You're not going to get interrupted. You're not going to have any issues. Go at night, planning to do a ritual. Hike a mile or a couple miles into the woods. Already have it pre-selected so you're not surprised in the middle of the night and fall into a fucking hole and die. Know where you're going. Scout out the area during the daytime. But go at night, alone. Even if you have to take your boyfriend or your man or your girlfriend or whoever it might be, I don't care. I'm not, have your person. Have them sit back at the car if they have to. Be your guardian and watch all night long from the car 2 miles away. But have someone nearby if you need it. It's better if you don't, but if you need it, then that's fine. Hike into the woods, set up a ritual space, and do ritual to a point where there's no one around. Your friend might be around, but they're miles away and they're probably not going to get to you before a bear eats you or whatever might happen. So you need to put caution to the wind. Push yourself to that breaking point, to that uncomfortable zone of, I put myself out there. I am in the middle of the forest right now, 2 a.m. by myself doing a ritual. And as I've told you, it might not happen the first or second time. Usually it will, but it might not happen the first or second. Third or fourth, you are going to have a fucking experience that is going to shake you to the fabric of your being. You're conjuring a spirit. And obviously you might need to be adept enough that you know what you're doing. You're not out there, first ritual you've ever done in your life in the woods. Don't do that, guys. Make sure you at least know what you're doing. But go out there and do that, and you're going to be fucking mind blown when you start to see things moving around the woods and you're thinking, well, it's just deer. And then you're doing a little bit more rituals, and then you're like, I just seen a person or a man run by. And you're looking around kind of scared, like, I just seen a human being, but it wasn't a human being. And then you start to hear voices talking all around you, and you're like, oh my God, I'm not alone out here. And you're thinking there's people. There's no people. And then you start to see apparitions and movements of beings that shouldn't exist out there. And you're like, what is happening? You're starting to be born, my friend. You're starting to break into true magic. And there is this level that most will never reach. It's okay to have your temple and do it from the comfort of your home. And you can have amazing experiences. But I promise you, the more that you put yourself out there, the more that you will receive by putting yourself out there. And once again, just like the naysayers and the paranormal, or a lot of people who do ritual and say, well, I do goetic rituals, but I've never seen anything like that. When's the last time, fucker, you walked out in the middle of the forest in the middle of the night by yourself and did actual workings? Well, I don't do that. Well, then shut the fuck up, because until you're doing the things that create the results, don't naysay the results that other people are having. And it can happen. Now, you have to have that level of discernment. Not everything is paranormal. Not everything is ritual or apparitions or deities, but a lot of it is. And you can tap into that. So I think that that's really important, but you have to be willing to face the storm on your own. And if you will, you'll build up a whole new level of yourself. Now, one of the things I want to go back on with, go ahead.
I was just going to say, following up that, just like you said, you'll build whole new levels of yourself. The change, that was kind of what I was told. Like, she can't be here, because if she's here, you have this sense of protection, and you need to release that sense of protection. You need to release that safety net, or you're not going to have the experiences that you're supposed to be having. And it wasn't until the releasing of that safety net that my experiences changed pretty drastically. So yeah, that was my point with that.
Well, it's like, it's
you
kind of
have
like
to release it.
Kind of like a fight almost. Like, if your whole life, every time a confrontation happened, you always puffed your chest out and you're like, you don't want to fuck with me, I'm a badass, but you always were that way because you had 3 buddies behind you.
Yeah.
So you were always like, you fucking want a piece, let's get it. And everybody always backed down. You're going to start to really think you're a badass, right? Everybody always back down from you and your 3 buddies that are always together, right? Someone doesn't want to fight 4 people at one time, or maybe you guys scared them away and there's a couple of them, whatever. But you're always so fucking hardcore with your 3 buddies behind you. Right. And then that first confrontation happens where your 3 buddies aren't there. And you try that same shit and you're like, you don't fucking want to mess with me, I'm a bad. And then that person just rocks your bell. Next thing you know, you wake up 10 minutes later and you're like, what the fuck happened? You're all beat to shit. And you're like, everybody's like, you just got your ass kicked, man. That dude rocked you.
Right.
You're going to get humbled real quick.
Right.
And then good chance are the next time some shit happens, even when you're with your buddies, you're going to be a lot less fucking noisy than you were before. Because even though you have your 3 buddies, you're going to be like, yeah, I don't want to get knocked the fuck out again. And I'm a little bit more humble now because I know what it's like to get my ass kicked. And that's what's going to happen to you in the spiritual world. You're going to have great experiences, but you're going to have moments you're going to get rocked. You're going to have moments that were probably horrible. I can promise you that you're going to have moments that you're going to stand up from eventually, that you're going to say like, I'm not okay. And that changed me a little bit. But that's okay, because isn't the point of magic to change you? And if you expect change to be comfortable, then I'm sorry, my friend, you're not going to change, because change is not comfortable. Growing pains. You've heard that phrase, growing pains. Growing mentally, physically, intellectually, spiritually, all of it is painful. And
I think
it's no different.
We've said that like, a million times. We've said it on here. None of this is fucking fun. Like, no. There's awesome moments. There are incredible moments. But like, if somebody's like, are you having fun? Like, I'd be like, no.
No,
I'm in fact not having fun. It's not a good time.
I feel like I got hit by a fucking, twister or a cyclone the other night, and I'm a little fucked up from it. But yeah, everything's great. So I mean, it's not going to be fun. And yes, Britt, you're here. I'm going to throw you up on the screen real quick. Yes, now I'm here. She says, I've been seeing her comments. I was going to give her a shout out. I haven't got there yet. She's been coming through as one of the nameless on.
Hi, buddy.
I don't know why. Some other ones are coming through too. I'll have to...
Brittany can attest to that. Brittany and Ryan, because they see the after effects.
She put ride alone, die alone. I travel alone. Some other comments as well. Yeah, absolutely, Brett. That's the way you got to do it. And one of the things I wanted to make sure I don't forget to say, and I'll read Stacy's comment. I haven't got to it yet. Is just like your physical temple space, if you've worked with a deity or spirit to the level where you have truly built that bridge of alliance that I talked about, you've time and time again connected, convened, conversed, and communed, and you've built that alliance, that friendship. Although we don't like using that, because people are like, I'm friends with the spirit. You're not friends, but you build a connection, right? So once you've done that, it's okay to allot a place in your astral ethereal temple to that spirit. Not only do you have your guardians, but I have a room in my astral temple. Well, so I gotta caveat that. My one for Coterie is for Coterie. I have an astral temple for her. I have an astral temple that I do demon work in, or diabolism. But for example, I don't need to have Coterie in my diabolism one, because she has her own astral temple that she's in. But when I'm working with the demons, there's specific demons or daemons that I work with fluidly. I've built up enough of a trust and rapport that I've given them their own mantle and space within my astral temple that they preside, a fractal of them. Because we have to understand, everything is fractals, guys. We are all fractals of the original source of God. And when I say God, I'm not saying like Jehovah or any of these other gods. I'm saying like true God, source, Ein. We are all fractals of the original cloud of existence. Right. And we all are having our own individual experience. Spirits are all fractals of the original source, having their own sort of experience, although they're not like, right now they're not sitting having poker. It goes back to the famous thing, like if I'm not calling that spirit right now, does it exist? It does, but it doesn't. We're not going to get into that tonight. But you have that fractal. When you call Belial, your Belial is different than the other person's Belial. They're all part of the same river, but they're all their own tributaries. It's a fractal of the overall river that is that spirit. So you can take that fractal and keep that fractal in your astral temple, so that every time you visit it, you have a little piece of that spirit there with you to watch over that temple. But don't just be given a space to anything. I don't care. There's spirits that I've worked with that I'm very fond with in a practical working with sense, and I don't give the keys to my house to. It's like you have a lot of buddies you like. You have come over, you party with them, you enjoy them, you like their company. But how many of those buddies you given a key to your house to? I'm sure a
Right.
lot of you are like, yeah, true. Like, and I'll be
That's
honest,
a good way to put it.
I don't have a single fucking friend I'd give a key to my house to. So that's telling you something. I like a lot of people. None of you motherfuckers are getting a key to my house. So that's kind of how I look at the astral temple. Was you have to build up some major trust with me for me to say, here's the keys to my temple. Come on in. So don't be like, for example, Murmur. I loved working with Murmur. It was a great experience. I'm not giving this fucker my keys because I know his energy and what it does to me and how it fucked with my life. And I appreciate him for what he is. I appreciate him for what he's shown me and taught me. I will work with him again, but I'm not giving him a key to my house, so to speak.
I was going to say the same for Asmodeus, but that's on my end.
Yeah. So you got to know your limits, know who works with you good, who doesn't. That's
or just
discernment.
Who you want to be able to just pop their head in whenever they want. Like, I gotta know when he's coming. You know what I mean?
Britt says you're giving me a key to your house. Good luck, Britt. No one gets a key to my house. I just think that that's important discernment, because there's people like one time they'll call Beleth and they're like, here's the key to my house, man. Come on in. And it's like, oh, yeah. Because the first time I worked with him, he was really, he just seemed like it was cool to work with, and like we got along good the first time. And then I gave him the keys to my kingdom, and then I realized he's an absolute fucking terror, and now I can't get him to leave. And I use that for an example because Beleth is vicious. And for those of you that haven't worked with Beleth, you might not want to. You know, you don't just give the keys away to anybody. You don't just walk down the street and bump into a neighbor, talk to him for 10 minutes and say, here, have a key to my house. Come on in anytime you want. So, you know, you have to be discerning on that. But if anybody else has any questions or concerns, let us know. I think that covers most of what we want to talk about with tonight's topic. Hopefully that was insightful for you guys and really went about astral and ethereal temples from a different dynamic than most. Still capturing those same things: safety, security, and secrecy, communication, transportation. Those are the things I think that need to be taken care of within the astral and ethereal temples. But to dive into the deeper levels of what that means, how to create one, what their importance is, and what it can do for your practice. Because I don't hear people talking about using that as the catapult for your astral travels, about using it, connecting to deeper level of spirit per se. Sometimes they do, but not in the same sense we are saying. How you can really get into some of that Lovecraftian fucking world dimensional shifting into strange planes of existence. Some of them, you know, you are not you, you're something else. Some of them are your geometric patterns. Some of them are your other things. I can't even explain your water, and you're like going down, you know, bodies of other water. It gets real fucking weird, guys. Real weird. Real. And that's all.
Brittany, I would not give Asmodee a key to my house.
Oh, yes. Trevor said, don't forget Stacy. I'm sorry. Britt left me like 45 fucking comments in like 6 seconds.
She's on it.
Hold on. Let me go to Trevor first. I think I missed this one. Unless we were taking another one. Oh, no. We read that one. Okay. When you get the feeling, if you ever have, that you feel more like a spirit yourself making your physical avatar move, does that have something to do with the astral plane? Does that make sense? Kinda. What I would tell you is that if you sit in meditation, a good exercise for everybody to do is to put your feet flat on the ground. So sit in a chair for this one. Don't sit like lotus style. And I want you to focus with your hands on the edge of the chair, right? Your feet on the ground. I want you to think about that liminal space between where your finger and your chair touch. A little dot of space between the pad of your finger and that chair, between the bottom of your foot and the ground, and focus on both of them at the same time, feet and hand. Start to really think about them without thinking about them. And I know that's weird to say, but you're going to be in that like nice state of mind, and you start to realize you can then feel your hands differently and your feet differently. And if you do this long enough, and this takes a while, then you will start to feel, holy shit, my body doesn't really feel like my body anymore. Mm-hmm. It's starting to feel like I'm something else inside this thing. And that starts to fuck with your head a little bit, because you'll start to realize, like, what feels so natural is just my body, and you can easily, after the exercise, go back to the way you always were, because we're programmed just to forget it and then go right back. It's a constant fucking struggle, right? But through these exercises day in and day out, just like the astral temple, it's having the discipline. You can do it long enough, you start to really feel that you are your true self, the spirit, just inhabiting, not in theory. Of course, we can sit there and say, well, I am a spirit in an avatar and I am riding my body. No, this is a physical, I can feel that I am not this. I am actually the spirit. I can feel the tingle of even the air around my hand. I'm an energy field within another energy field. And because the coating of my hand is different than the air, it appears to be this individual thing that I have fluctuation over. This mic stand is of a different vibration. I've talked about this in lectures I've given at paranormal conventions about ethereal dynamics. And I talk about the structure of how we're all encoded differently and how that makes us perceive reality. And you could start to really notice that. And when you do, it does something to you, because you're like, holy fuck, like, I am not me, I am I. And that's hard to explain right now. Do it, you'll figure it out. Where kind of, Stacy, you're going to realize, like, when I'm traveling these worlds, as we mentioned earlier, sometimes you feel more real than you do when you're here in reality.
Right.
And that's all I'm going to say about it right now.
Stacy said, but what about if it happens randomly without focusing on doing it? And Stacy, I would say that sometimes there are slips, that if you're not like focused on anything really, there can just be a slip, but it wouldn't be like the same level of intensity that we're talking with that like specific. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, and I'm sorry, but I opened this new beer, guys. Let me tell you,
good.
It's not bad. It's not what I was expecting.
Did not look like a good face.
Ooh, it's fucking potent. This one is super squish, and it's a Imperial Hazy IPA, and it's 9%. It's a little potent. I thought this was a light beer when I grabbed it, because it's like a variety pack. I looked at the outside can wrong when I grabbed it. I was expecting the real light one, which is just like a lager. I took a drink of it expecting it is that, and man, it is fucking potent. It's like,
I don't like the name of that one, so that's not going to be our sponsor.
Super squish.
No, I don't like it.
Oh, fuck. It'll leave a taste. That's all I can taste right now. It's like permeating my fucking soul. You want to separate yourself from your body, Stacy? Drink some of that shit. Woo! You realize you're not you real quick. Holy fuck. Nocturne jumped in. Hello, Nocturne. He says, hey, Frater Crow. Hey, Natasha. Damn, I'm late. Good thing you post these. How have you two been? We have been wonderful, Nocturne. Thank you for tuning in. You can always jump back and watch it from start to finish. In fact, even if you watched it live tonight, watch it again, fuckers. That's what we want you to do. It helps us out, and we appreciate it.
It drills you in. It drills it into your heads.
Nocturne, I can't answer that. You're going to have to go back and watch the episode, because we've already dived way too deep into that to rehatch things. Everything you wish to know, we have touched on tonight as far as the subject.
Yep. Just watch the
playback. It sounds scary. It's not scary. I mean, I like hazy IPAs, and I mean, I even like strong beer, but fuck, I mean, I wasn't expecting. I think it's probably because I went from an L to that. Usually if like I start with IPA, I want to stay with it. I don't want to drink like light beer, a crazy beer, and a light beer.
Brit's not a beer drinker. She likes her Hawaiian punches that do not taste like Hawaiian punch.
Yeah, that's horrible, Britt. Hold on a second. That does make sense, Natasha, because it doesn't feel super deep. It's like a whoa, what was that kind of feeling?
Yeah.
No, and what that can be.
I know what you're talking about, States.
Sorry, I had to scratch my ear. These headphones are making my ear itchy. What that can be also, Stacy, is it can be nudges from spirit. You can have moments of tingling sensations. You're like, what the hell was that? And it just seems so quick, so out of place, and then it's so short-lived and gone that we so easily brush it off, and we're like, okay, that was weird. What you don't understand is there literally was a spirit right there, like what the fuck, man? Like, I was trying
Yeah.
to tell you something. I'm trying to get your attention. You're hopeless. You know what I mean? And there's so much missed. It's like the paranormal. I make fun of it all the time because, you know, we're heavily into the paranormal, but we're nothing like any of these other paranormal groups. And what I laugh at is like everybody's so focused on their equipment. I have 25 gadgets going at one time. We're going to catch something here tonight, guys. Meanwhile, it's standing right the fuck beside them. It's doing jumping jacks like I'm right here. And they're like, I'm getting no readings. Oh, there's nothing on the or I'm getting crazy readings. Spirit, what is your name? And it's not answering on any of the equipment. And they're spending 2 hours looking at this. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with equipment. We use some. But I'm saying that we're so distracted in everything in life that the shit's right in front of us and we're not even noticing it because we think it should be something else. Expectancy is the killer of ritual and interaction. When you expect exactly how that ritual is going to go, you killed that ritual from what it would have been. When you go into a haunted location, you say, we're going to go into this room and we're going to get exactly these type of interactions and this and that's going to happen. You're going to end up probably getting nothing. You got to go with a drive and a sincerity to get there, but with no limitations. That's where that imagination comes in. You go and open with a will. It's going to have something's going to happen. I don't know what, something will. I'm going to let it open Pandora's box and spill out and show me, and it will.
One of the most important things that Crow's probably ever taught me in our time working together has been expect nothing and embrace everything. Stop drinking it.
Fuck no, I'm gonna drink that baby to the end. I'm gonna be seeing spirits tonight, guys. Ooh,
it looks painful.
Squishy. Oh, it's fucking not pleasurable.
It doesn't look squishy.
I like to torture myself sometimes, guys. If you don't know me, I'm all about self-torture, so I'm gonna drink that fucker till every drop's gone. Oof. Okay, let's see if we're missing anything. That's such a great point, Frater. I never thought about that being a spirit trying to get my attention. Absolutely. And it's not to pick on you. That's the problem. Because they might be very well spirit saying like over and over again, I keep trying to get her attention. She doesn't fucking listen to me. And it's like, you know, now that you know that, you can be more aware of it. It might not be. It might just be something strange happening. That could be the case. But there's a chance that now you recognize that that's what it could be. You start to listen, and 1, 2, 3, 4 times in of these things happening, all of a sudden you get some real deal communication and you're like, holy shit. And it's like, now you tapped into a channel. Right. I look at working with spirits like satellite dishes, right? You're going from like basic cable to dish network. That's a bad analogy because like people don't even have this shit anymore because they just use like Roku. But you get what I'm saying is as you learn to adjust the satellite dish to the right fucking angle, you start to get all kinds of channels you never had before. And now you can tune into those channels and start seeing and hearing and experiencing what broadcasting that channel has for you. I've taught Natasha this at length where we are on a spectrum of bandwidth, a spectrum of frequency, and there's different channels. And within that channel, there's multiple kingdoms and beings and things that we can interact with. And sometimes we can go up to the next channel or down below to that channel. We often stay within a channel bandwidth. We can sometimes go a little bit above, a little bit below the one we're in. Through advanced workings, you can start to go more into the next channel, into the next channel, into the next channel. And as you become a very proficient practitioner, now you start to get free range of not only temporarily moving in through other channels of existence and working with them, but actually recalibrating your channel to a different channel. Yeah. Now you can instead of having to go so hard to get to this channel and working so much focus, so much energy that it exhausts you, you just lift your channel of being, your level of consciousness to a different level. And now you're operating here instead of down here. So now I don't go to work as hard to get up here. And if you go up, now maybe you have to work harder to get back to where you were. But a lot of times once you get so far up, you don't necessarily want to go back to where you were. So
it becomes more fluid.
becomes more fluid. That's food for thought,
And
guys. We're operating in channels.
I think, yeah, you are the transmitter, and I think it just made me think of, I remember being told years ago that like I should be looking at my sigil, or my sigil, my altar, my space, like what I'm focusing on, and that it should start to pixelate, and everything should start to pixelate, and then that's when I know that I'm like hitting that next level. Man, I couldn't get anything to pixelate for shit forever, and it was so frustrating because I was like, nothing's pixelating, so I must just suck. And then the one day, it just suddenly shit's pixelating in front of my face, and I'm like, oh wait, am I imagining this? There's the thing. Are you imagining it? Don't question it. Just go with it. Let your brain do it. And now it's pixelating all the time. So, your tuner changes as your practice changes.
As you become more receptive, you'll pick up more. As you become more
Yeah.
proficient, you can cast yourself out further. I'll tell you guys a story before we wrap up tonight. Let me just read a couple of these comments. We're so distracted that we don't even feel the slap from the thing right in front of us. Yeah, exactly, Nocturne, as we were just saying. Expect nothing, absolutely. Sideband frequencies, absolutely.
Yeah, Max, good.
We're going to have to gift Frater some Marlowe. I got several bottles of wine upstairs. I actually have a case of wine upstairs. I only drink wine on occasion, though, usually in ritual. Like when I'm doing regular things, like I'm out sociable, sitting for the radio show, I drink beer. Now, here's a funny side fact. I don't drink beer in ritual ever. I just don't. I drink wine or whiskey, or cachaça in ritual. That's the only things I drink in ritual. I don't drink beer. But when I'm out and about, I drink. So I almost treat wine. I'll do that sometimes sociably, wine. But I almost treat wine as a very sacred thing.
I don't
use
think
it.
it's wine.
Huh? What are you saying to me?
They said it's not wine, but yes, wine is ritual. But they said it's not wine.
She said Malort. I thought it said Merlot.
So did I, but I'm blind. I don't know what Malort is.
Malort sounds like some funky shit. Like you squeeze a couple of aged toads under the Mercury moon and then drink it. It's a nice cup of Malort. I don't know where I'm even going with that. It's 9% beer is fucking me up.
What's the story? Tell your
story, and then we will finish out for the night, guys. So,
yeah.
Tasha mentioned pixelation. Yeah, so a lot of people think, and then once again, it's a lot of people will think shit's bogus until they experience it. You can naysay your whole life until you have the moment that fucking breaks all naysaying. So, and I wasn't a naysayer, but I'm just saying that because the pixelation thing, you'll see a lot in modern grimoires. They stare at the sigil until it translucents and becomes blue and glows and then vanishes and all this shit. And usually it doesn't happen the way that they make it sound, but that can happen. And I remember through advanced workings, in my early days, or what I thought was advanced workings at the time, I was working with Asmodai, and I had it happen eventually, finally. The sigil I stared at didn't pixelate. The entire world around it started to turn into what looked like white noise on an old TV screen. It was just white, pixelated white, and the whole room became white noise. And then it grew, and I knew not to blink. I'm like, just keep staring at the sigil, and it got so staticky around it. And then the only thing I could visibly see clear was the sigil, but not the paper. At that time, I used paper for my sigils, like a lot of people do. I've advanced to more means these days, but the paper disappeared. It was just the lines. So it was like a floating set of black lines in a hazy existence. And I could almost hear like so it was like I was transporting through different bandwidths of frequency, right?
Yeah.
That was not only my first experience with truly, what I call truly consecrating a sigil and opening it. That was my first personal possession. It was very shortly after that, and it's not to scare anyone, but very shortly after the static, very shortly after that sigil came to life and popped out at me, that I just blanked out. And I took a back seat to myself while a deity stepped in, which was Asmodai. And some people say that's not possible. I don't know what to fucking tell you, because I experienced it right in the face. And I got to witness myself not as myself for a lengthy bit of time, and then eventually blacked out. And I woke up in the middle of my ritual circle after a very intense experience. I'll spare you guys the details. And I'm like, what the fuck was that? Like, what just happened to me? And then I closed out the ritual. I went and jotted it in my grimoire, and then I went to sleep. As kind of like, that was the craziest shit I've ever experienced. Now, I end up realizing over time that that's actually not that experience, that crazy, that experience. Because once again, it sounds crazy to those that don't understand it or haven't experienced it. But as you start to tap into deeper levels, you start to realize that what seems so crazy to the world is second nature. It's a Tuesday night, right? And you start to get to a point, and that's all about how far down the rabbit hole do you want to go. Because let me tell you, friends, you can go to a point of non-reality where it seems like it's insanity. Some people you meet that are nuts are just nuts. But some people that you meet are nuts are just so enlightened that they're insane. And it's because they've witnessed such things that are beyond this realm. And that's the thing with this work, is there's a very real risk that the deeper you go, a lot of people become ill, die, go insane, or they break through. And I can tell you, most quit before they ever get to a deep, deep level, because it gets scary as fuck. They quit, they back off deeper and deeper and deeper. Those deeper levels, you are going to start to see people fall off sick, real ill. People fall off dead. People maybe think they're still doing it, and they're just insane, and they're off in left field somewhere doing their own shit. They're not even doing the work anymore. They're just crazy. And then you got some people that are really making it that are crazy. It's a very, very, very minute group that can dig to the depths and remain logical, that you can carry on a conversation like we're having right now.
Yeah.
That can be articulate, that can be smart, that can be balanced, that can be all of these things while doing the work. Because I would tell you, there's people I know that are friends of mine that do the work that you can't carry a fucking conversation with in a normal sense. I can't, because I know how to talk with them. You take them to another group of people, and everybody's like, what the fuck is wrong with your boy? I'm like, oh yeah, he's fucking, he's not here right now. His body's here right now. He's somewhere else, man. And you can be that person. If you want to be that person, that's fine. But it takes a lot of fucking work to stay balanced, to keep that equilibrium.
That's why the discipline.
Part of the
that's why the discipline is so important.
Episode
the discipline,
3, daily discipline.
Yeah, and the fear, or fear is not the right word, but when you experience absolutely, and I'm smiling, but like I'm crying on the inside. Absolutely horrific things can be experienced in some of these, and if you're able to do that and then go back again with your little porridge bowl, like, I want some more, there's a certain level of respect, I think, that is earned in the spiritual context through the spirits themselves with that.
And that goes back to the feeling of, don't be worried about the embarrassment you feel when you get knocked down. Be looking forward to the rejoicement of whenever you're praised for standing back up. You're going to get knocked the fuck back down. Sit there and be like, man, I don't want to get knocked down. I don't want to look silly. I don't want to fuck up. It's going to happen. Don't worry about that. Fucking stand up and beat your chest. You're going to get absolutely clotheslined off your feet, and you're going to be on the ground like, oh, fuck. You need to pull everything in your being together into your core and stand back up and know you got fucked up. And don't be like a beaten dog, shuddering and pulling away. You stand back up, and with everything you have, reach down if you're a guy and grab your nuts. If you're a woman, grab your tits. You say, I am woman, or I am man, hear me roar. You fucking put your chin back up, and you're like, ooh, yeah, let's get it. Go at it again. There's something to be said about that, because you're going to get slapped down. If you cower away, it will destroy you. If you decide to quit because you're too much of a pussy to continue, they may destroy you. If you continue, they may destroy you. But the only path out of those is to continue, because you quit, You never reach the fucking kingdom, and you're probably going to be destroyed. You cower, you're probably going to be destroyed. You didn't reach the kingdom. So why not? If you're going to face possibly annihilation either way,
do it with your head up.
Route that's going to at least go with your head up, be a fucking soldier, and maybe break through. And I can tell you that's how we've kept our sanity. And for anybody,
honestly,
anybody that can sit there and say you guys are articulate, you guys do talk, you know, they might question, are we doing the work or not? I promise you we are. And I can tell you that thus far, we've been able to keep our sanity, at least to some extent. It's been a rocky road. Now, someone left a comment I do want to jump into. Where the fuck did we go? And then we'll wrap this up.
Somebody liked my
one in ritual like that. Yes, the fog should happen, and the biggest thing you can do, Stacy, is let the fog take you. People fight it. They start to notice themselves zoning off, and then they're like, no. That you don't want to fall. It's a fine balance. When you start to feel like you're being taken over, let it carry you, but don't let it carry you so much that you just fall over on the floor and then you wake up and you're like, oh shit, it's the next morning. You have to let yourself 90% go and let the fog carry you, but keep enough of that 10 that you stay conscious. Because what happens is when it clicks off that 90% of your energy grid and you have the 10 that's still cognizant, that 90 is now being transported to some shit. And that's the key, is people either let themselves go too far, they miss it, or they pull back and they miss it. Everything, you'll hear say it again and again, is equilibrium. If you fuck up the balance in between, you're not going to have the equilibrium. You're tilted too much to one side, shit's wonky. We got question, is it unusual for things from outer space, planets, nebula, to show up in similar ways as the spirits do? I'm not sure exactly what you mean, Nocturne. I mean, you're going to have the archons are going to the powers of the planetary spheres are really just gateways. The planets that we look at as planets, spheres, like science planets, they're doors. They're multiple doors that have those channels that I talked about. That's part of that grid. These doors let through energies, some of a Empyrean angelic nature, some of a chthonic demonic nature, and you can tap into either side of them. But that's why when Jesus rose from the tomb and Mary Magdalene was standing there, and it says he cast 7 demons from her, he cast the planetary control that the 7 planets or the archons of the ancient world had over Mary Magdalene, so that she was free of their influence, so that she wasn't being used as a puppet. Mastery of magic is to not be subject to the channels of spirit and their resonance, but to be master over the spirits and their resonance. You become the puppet master rather than the puppet. And that's what that meant when he cast the 7 demons from Mary Magdalene. Zelda's Fishtastic Adventures. I love it. I've experienced something very similar, but with ball. Thought I was crazy at times, but that was my first real step in taste. I thought I was insane for months afterwards. I found that I drive most people I told any level of it some form of anxious or crazy just thinking about it if I provided any evidence. The thing is, in Zelda, the whole thing is once again, it's okay to have such a profound experience that you want to tell people, but you have to realize that most people don't give a shit or are never going to be able to understand it.
I was going to say won't be able to understand it.
That's a hard thing to have such a life-changing experience and then want to go tell everyone, your spouse, your kids, anyone, but then have to pull yourself back and say, I can't tell them because they're not going to understand and it's not for them. And that's a part of putting your big boy pants on. And I know that sounds fucked up, but you got to say, I want to tell my wife. I want to tell my husband. I want to tell my kids. I want to tell my best friend. I want to tell my fucking coworkers. You got to say, shut the fuck up. You're not telling any of them. That's your story. You keep it, because then it has more significance because you kept it. You didn't share it because by sharing it, it's like giving that bottle of liquor to everyone else in the club. And then you get it back and go to take a swig and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's gone now. You didn't get it because you gave it all away.
And that's a very ego construct, we want to tell people and we want to share because we want that validation and we want that oh, no way, man, that and everybody like has that, you know, and because you experience things that are so unbelievable that you want somebody else to hear it and like understand and believe it, to make it seem more real to you. And that's a huge thing that you have to, and I'm speaking like from my own experience, like you have to come to terms with of like, okay, it has to be real because it's real for you. You experienced it, you know. And that's it. Sorry, tangent.
No, that's okay. And I was reading some comments here. We have a bunch that aren't coming through. It's pissing me off. But yes, I agree 100% that the paranormal is a lot of that. Like
Yeah.
everyone goes and does paranormal not for the love of paranormal. I fucking hate it. That's why everybody, even some of our own members of our group, which I love them, they are big on para-unity and the paranormal coming together as a group. And that is admirable. And I'm not knocking that in its own right. But at the same time, I'm spitting right the fuck in its face. So you can say, how can you say it's all cool and you support it, but then you also spit it in the face? Because most every paranormal person I know, the reason they do it's not for the love of the paranormal necessarily. They're going out and saying, I want to capture evidence. I want to show everybody. I want TikTok likes. I want YouTube likes. I want follows. I want shares.
Yeah.
I want to be a celebrity. I want to make money off this. I want to quit my job and have my own set of documentaries and this and that. That's all great and that's fine to follow that. But at the same time, that all is telling me that you're doing it for every fucking reason other than just spiritual connection.
Yeah. And that was a huge thing that I had, like, because I have a TikTok account and I do the social media stuff, and my entire job and life over the past 5 years has been connected to my practice. So like, I want to share the things, and it seems that the more and more I go on, the farther I go, the more absolutely fucking insane my experiences become, the more I'm like, I can't make a fucking video to this. Can't sum this up in 15 seconds. Like, are you kidding?
And
Even if like, and it's not for them, it's for me. Like, I'm having the experiences because they're for me. And the only thing that other people are going to be able to see from that is the change in me. And if they don't, why does it matter? 'Cause it's not for them in the first place. So Zelda, yeah, I get what you're saying. You find out pretty quick to just keep your mouth shut. Because if they're not doing it, they don't get it. And you can't fault them for it.
Well, I think there's something to be said, honestly, and it's kind of a reversed ego, but like in a good way. So instead of being the person that goes out and brags to everybody and shows everybody your evidence so that you get jerked off by everybody, I like to be the guy that says nothing and have everybody else jerking off around me. That sounds so fucked up. I like to have everybody circle jerking around me and me be in the middle, you know, right?
Wow, okay, stop.
So like, because people will talk like about ritual experiences and their connection with spirits and their knowledge of the occult and their paranormal, and I just stand there and smile and act like I'm just a
Smile and
regular.
nod. Yeah.
Like they go on about all these stories, and I'm like, "Oh, that happened, man. That is crazy." And then like usually there's someone there of like, "Hey, guys, you know the person you're talking to has been very advanced levels of these things, right?" And like I said, it's funny because then a person's like, "Oh shit." Because if they're bullshitting, they know that I know they're bullshitting now. And if they're not bullshitting, then they're just kind of like feel embarrassed, which is just kind of funny to fuck with them in that way. But like I said, you got to do it for you. You have to do it for fun. It's about connecting spirits. It's okay to show
Not for
evidence.
fun.
Well, you know, it's as fun as you can have.
For growth.
Now, let's catch up on these last couple comments, and we're shutting down for the night, or we'll go all night. I just want to read this one. Yeah. All right. So the comments that aren't coming through, which is a plethora of them, we got Sarah, your mom saying, "You sure about that?" And I have absolutely no idea what part that was to. Victoria,
we're probably not sure about it.
Pittsburgh Paranormal Investigators, Victoria said, "Hi from PPI," and she put agreed at some point, but once again, it's just coming through now, so I don't know what point. Urali said, "Definitely not fun. I'm doing some deep shadow work at the moment, but I live for those synchronicities, omens, and those moments where I see growth. That makes perfect sense. Sometimes it sounds like I'm tuning into different channels." And what you will find, guys, and this is what I want you to focus on. And once again, sometimes people take me wrong because they'll be like, you know, they think, and you have to know me, I guess. They'll think I'm ego stroking, and I'm not. I don't give a fuck about ego or any of you liking me. I could care less. But they think that I'm going after that because of the way I say things. And it's just because I'm so unfiltered, they don't know how to take it.
It's because he's a Leo rising.
I'm a Leo rising, and that's the way that I am, guys. And I'm a Taurus, so it's just the way that I am a bull. So what I would say is you hear a lot of things mentioned in the way that we do our work, how we teach, how we lecture, how we do ritual, what we do on our shows, that other people say, holy shit, and it clicked for me now. Or I'm hearing something you're saying about astral temples that I never heard before. You're mentioning this bandwidth of channels and how you go in and out of them until you raise your consciousness level to then go in and out of them. You're hearing these things that are different because we're doing the work. And the problem with that is when you hear everybody else saying the same thing as one another, but it doesn't jive with you, it's because they're all saying the same fucking thing as one another, because a lot of them aren't doing anything. And they read a bunch of books and they're like, well, I'm going to write what he, she, them 5 people said in my own words. And it's just rehatching the same shit over and over again. Well, we're getting back to, and as we say with the Coterie of Samil, we are a cult in the truest sense. We are a coven occult. But our cult is the collective understanding of lost teachings. Cult, collective understanding of lost teachings. We're going back to the root of understanding the configuration of metaphysics and of quantum physics, of ethereal dynamics, the real nerdy shit behind it that actually makes up the ethereal worlds, how they work, how to operate in them, and then how to connect to spirit and do it in a proper way. If you want me just to paint you a picture of some real phantasmagorical like fantasy shit, I can do that. And some of this sounds like that, but I can do it in a real cookie cutter way and feed it to you, and you guys will eat it right off the spoon. But I don't want to do that. I would rather give you the shit that tastes like cough syrup that you don't want to take, but when you take it, you get better, right? And that's what we're going to give you. Last comments, and we're closing out for the night.
We're here for your medicine.
We're here for your medicine. Come get your fucking medicine. Open up.
Yeah. Take the spoon.
All night long. All night long. All night. All right. That explains it. Laugh out loud. I was more intimidated than anything from everything I heard about Frater from Natasha and Britt before I met him. I mean, there's truth behind that. I mean, I'm a really easygoing, nice, easy to talk to guy, but then there's also this other side that most people don't ever see, that I am a beast. Like, and that's not to toot my own horn. Like, I'm a fucking monster. So, it just depends on which side of the railroad tracks you end up on. If you're cool with me, you treat me right, and I treat you right, we're all gravy, baby. There's nothing to worry about. You fuck with me, then it's a whole different ball game. I'm ruthless. So neither here nor there. Other than that, let's see if there's any last comments on here. Let's close shop, and we'll be back in a couple weeks. We have a lot of really crazy shit coming up. So our plan would be we'll be back in 2 weeks unless life just really fucks with us over the next 2 weeks, and then we might delay. We have some really big spiritual things happening. We don't know what that'll mean as far as our personal selves, us as a cult, us as a show. So most likely 2 weeks, worst case 4 weeks. We'll see what happens.
We should be fine, but in case we aren't,
we're going on some journeys.
We'll be back.
Every time we come back, we're a little bit different. So we're going to see what this next journey that we have brings us. We'll see. I don't think there's any more comments in the throw. I don't give a fuck. I'm not reading them right now. So all those things are the questions I've spent the last 20 years trying to chase and understand. Hey.
Well, good. Glad we could help.
We're always learning. And the thing is, I tell people is I'm no adept. I don't care if a lot of people say he is adept or he is a magus. I am in the sense that I run a cult. I am in the sense that I am experienced and I have a lot of knowledge and I teach people, but I still hate that fucking term, because I will tell you every single time that the two of us are students on our first day, hungry and eager to learn. And we're no better than anybody else. We might just, excuse me, we might just be a little bit more experienced in things, but we're no better. You can each get there through preservation, or perseverance rather, and through dedication. So hopefully that resonated. Thank you to all of you. Thank you, Max. I appreciate it. And Nocturne, thank you for answering questions. Good night, Frater, Crow, and Natasha.
Thank you for my gift, Max. I got it.
And thank you, even wishing you protection. Thank you, guys. Yeah, hopefully we'll be here. If we die, then it was pleasure. We loved you, and we're glad we could give you what we gave you. We don't know, and I know we're joking
He's
about it.
kidding. We're not gonna die.
We might. If we don't, we'll be back here. Okay. This is Frater Crow
And Natasha Michelle.
the Coterie of Samil,
Nice.
Arcane, Occult, Order, and Celestial Oddities. We'll catch you next time on Cuniculum Obscuritatis, episode 10 in 2 weeks, Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be safe, step into the circle, have fun with it, explore.